I
Okay.
didn't pay $2,000 for a mutt cat.
You know what's really awesome? When you record the whole entire intro and then you look down and your microphone's on mute. So cool. So, this is an update to a really, really old case. This one started the hashtag #FreeZeke movement. Most people probably saw it on Law Talk with Mike, since my channel was absolutely tiny at the time and maybe 12 of you saw it here. However, that's where it started. At the bottom, we have Miss Burke. She purchased a cat from Miss Benson, although it wasn't really a cat to her. It was a possession. It was supposed to be a showpiece. Yes, they have cat shows. That's a thing. I know. Shocking. However, the cat was not showable. It wasn't good enough quality. And she had expected this because you can predict genetics and all. And so she is suing Miss Benson for not giving her a perfectly bred cat. Because, you know, we can control perfection, whatever.
Good afternoon. All right, Miss Burke, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, and Miss Benson?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and go on the record. This is in the District Court of Greenwood County, Kansas. Case is entitled Tracy Burke versus Kimberly Benson. It is case number 23 CV5. The plaintiff, Tracy Burke, appears in person pro se. Defendant Kimberly Benson also appears in person pro se. All parties are appearing by Zoom. Case comes before the court today for a pretrial conference. This case was originally filed on a small claims petition under case number 22 SC3. As I understand it, there was a trial held in front of Judge Webster back on January 19th. There's a verdict in the favor of the plaintiff, Miss Burke, and Miss Benson appealed that decision from the magistrate court to the district court.
This is the petition filed in the original case, and it was refiled again in this case. So Miss Burke is filed an action against Miss Benson, and Miss Burke says that Miss Benson advertised an Egyptian Mau kitten for sale on her website as a show/breeder quality. The cost of the kitten is more than pet breeds due to the expected show quality, and the buyer retains breeder rights, which has potential of breeding income. As the kitten developed, his coat markings as well as his eye color are out of breed standard for Egyptian Mau. I contacted Miss Benson and she agreed to DNA testing. I paid for the testing and the results showed Egyptian Mau/Bengal mixed breed. I ultimately had the cat altered due to inability to show/breed. I have made numerous attempts to resolve this matter with Miss Benson to no avail. Note, transportation was at buyer's expense. However, I would not have traveled 1,616 miles for a crossbred cat. Ms. Burke is asking for a payment of $2,000 plus interest, costs, and any damages awarded under KSA 60-2610. This is small claims court. And B, recovery of this personal property plus cost. I'm not sure what personal property she's referring to, but she lists additional costs incurred as travel cost, picking up purchase, 1,616 miles at 56 cents a mile, which is $905. CFA registration, $15. Vet immunizations required for show, $100. The neutering, $101.76. DNA testing, $106.69. Should have bought one on Amazon for $67. Court cost of $82.50. And court travel, 1,676 miles at 0.625 cents a mile equals $1,048. She's appearing via Zoom, but whatever. So the total is $4,358.95, but she notes, I am amenable to waive any amount above the small claims court max of $4,000. I'm also not claiming income loss due to breeding potential. Nice of her to be amenable to following the law. However, Judge Webster ultimately ruled in favor of Ms. Burke in the amount of $3,310.95. Now, that is considered the magistrate court because because Judge Webster is actually a magistrate judge. It was signed off by Judge Rickey. Since they appealed that, Judge Crum is now reviewing it in a de novo review, which means he's looking at the case completely anew. He's not reviewing any specific issues brought by them from the prior case. He's just going to wipe it clean and start all over again from the beginning. So Ms. Burke has refiled the same petition again, and it's a brand new case from the beginning.
So that seems to be the progression through the court at this point. Would you agree, Ms. Burke?
Yes.
And Ms. Benson, would you likewise agree?
Yes.
Okay. And Ms. Benson, let me address you first. Are you still wishing to pursue this appeal?
Yes, I am.
All right. I typically schedule a pretrial conference first, just to determine what we're going to need to do in terms of exhibits, how much time we need to set aside on the court's calendar for trial. So today is not the trial. I just want to get some information from you both and give some instructions on what we need to do moving forward. This is a trial de novo, which means it's tried again to this court. It's not a case where I review the transcript of the record of the previous hearing and then make a ruling. So you'll each present your cases again in full. So
Okay.
do you both understand how we proceed at this level?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And how long approximately, if you can recall, did it take to try the case in front of Judge Webster?
We were on Zoom for about an hour and a half, but there was some starts and stops getting started. So
Okay, was that due to technical issues?
technical issues, and there was somebody else in front of us that we had to wait for as well.
Okay, so you were on a docket.
Yes.
Okay. All right. As far as exhibits go, did you all have exhibits that you presented?
Yes.
At the time, mainly I just had the phone call conversation with Wisdom panel. I also did go ahead and show a sibling to the cat she got this last weekend. So I plan to present that as evidence as well, since she took her winner's ribbons in all 8 rings under 8 different judges.
Okay, and so approximately how many exhibits do you intend to present, Ms. Benson?
The photographic evidence, which will be probably about 25 photos from the cat show, as well as the show catalog to show that she was at that cat show, entered in that cat show, and that was her number, and that when it was as well. And the conversation from Wisdom panel.
The catalog you're referring to, how many?
Just the front page is all you need to see because it has everything you need on it.
Okay, and this phone conversation, is that on
It was a video recording, yes.
okay. And Ms. Burke, how many exhibits do you intend to present?
8 to 10.
8 to 10 separate pages?
Yes.
Okay. Typically, what I do on these cases is I require that those exhibits be forwarded to us here at the court, and then you'll each need to provide your exhibits to each other in advance of the hearing. That way, everybody has an opportunity to look at the other's exhibits and when they're presented to the court. A lot of times on these cases, people are bringing in their exhibits, they haven't forwarded them in advance, and it takes a lot of time to try to get them presented when you're doing it over Zoom. So I like to have all that accomplished ahead of time so we can just quickly reference the exhibits
Okay.
as they come. Now, Ms. Burke, you reside in Alabama,
Yes,
okay? Do you have the ability to email your exhibits to us and to Ms. Benson?
yes.
Okay, do you have Ms. Benson's email address?
I don't know which one's the current one. She has multiples.
Okay,
The
another
one
way
you
we
sent
can,
75 emails to will work. I'm sorry.
okay. Do you wish to provide her your email address so she can forward you those exhibits, Ms. Benson?
Yes, that would be fine.
And which email address would you like her to utilize?
The same one that we've had 75 conversations back and forth on, KS Persian, KSPERSIAN @yahoo.com.
Okay, do you have that email address, Ms. Burke?
I do now. Thank you.
All right, and you said you had 10 or less exhibits, Ms. Burke?
Yes,
All right, and Ms. Benson, again, state how many separate pages of exhibits you intend to present?
There are approximately 25 pages of photos, or 25 photos.
I'm
There,
sorry, but what are the photos of this cat itself?
no, the sister, since I don't have
All
that.
right, let me stop you both. These exhibits haven't been admitted yet. These are just exhibits that each of you intend to present. So we'll take that up at the time of the trial as to
Okay.
whether or not they're admissible or not. When you each are going to present your exhibits, you'll each have an opportunity to object if you have a legal objection to their admission. But that's something that will be done at the trial.
Okay.
So,
May I also present all of our email conversations?
That would be good.
well, I'm not gonna say what you can and cannot present. I
Okay.
can't tell you, I can't tell you they'll all be admitted. You can certainly present them and then we'll determine whether or not they're admissible at the time of the trial.
All right, thank you.
And you live in Hamilton?
Yes, Kansas.
Okay. Now I typically require, if there's going to be more than 10 pages of exhibits, that those be presented in what's called a trial notebook, where
Okay.
they're marked by numbers. That just makes it easier to present and reference at trial.
Okay,
And this would go for you too, Ms. Burke, on the exhibits you present by email. If you could have those marked as plaintiff, yours would be done numerically. For
Okay.
instance, this goes for Ms. Burke, your first exhibit would be plaintiffs 1, plaintiffs 2, so forth. And as the defendant, Ms. Benson, your exhibits would be marked defendants A, defendants B, and
okay,
so forth. And that way, it just makes it easy to reference at trial as we're going through these, which ones are admitted, and you can easily go back and forth between the exhibits. Ms. Benson, do you have an email address for Ms. Burke? I'm assuming you do based on your prior statements.
yes,
And you'll need to provide these exhibits to each other
okay,
beforehand and to the court. And Ms. Benson, since you're going to have those additional exhibits, I'm going to request that you provide those to my office in a notebook form.
Okay.
And I'll tell you the dates that all of these need to be exchanged by here shortly once we set the trial date. Let me ask you first, Ms. Burke, do you have any questions about the exhibit process at this point?
No,
And Ms. Benson, do you?
no, thank you.
Okay.
So Ziggy said this one's a little boring right now, and he's trying to climb across my lap on top of my desk to get to my monitor to see the Fur Baby channel on my Discord. If you haven't joined the Discord, there's a link in the description. Some of our members have posted pictures of their fur baby friends, and Ziggy is trying to lick the computer monitor. So I thought, since it's a little boring right now, let me show you some pictures of some of our members' adorable little fur baby friends. Enjoy.
Now, the way the trial's presented, I'm assuming will be similar in nature to how the case was presented in front of Judge Webster. Ms. Burke, you're the plaintiff. You would put your case on first. And then when you're done presenting your evidence, Ms. Benson would have the opportunity to cross-examine you or your witnesses. And then the same procedure would occur when Ms. Benson's putting on her case. Ms. Burke, do you have witnesses other than yourself you intend to call to testify?
Yes,
And how many? How many other?
one.
Okay, and who would that witness be?
He is the ombudsman for CFA.
Could you say that again, please?
He is the ombudsman for CFA.
And what is CFA?
Cat Fancy Association.
Okay, and is this individual going to be somebody who's going to be in a location with you, or is he going to be coming in separately?
He would come in separately. And I also, Kansas State Attorney General.
All right, do you plan to subpoena these individuals?
Sure, I can do that.
Okay, so you'll have two additional witnesses?
Yes,
All right, and Ms. Benson, do you have witnesses other than yourself that you intend to call?
I had not realized that this was going to be that much different than the original trial. So I had not prepared any witnesses. I mean, I could prepare one of my veterinarians that I've used for the last 20 years.
Well, I can't provide advice on what witnesses you call. Again, you can call them. They're subject, obviously, to objection by the other party as to the contents of their testimony. Obviously, it would have to relate to the claims made in the petition.
oh, and I also need to put in there the Small Animal Division of Kansas.
All right, I'm going to schedule a half day's time to try the case. And Angela, do you have some dates you can provide?
Judge, I have May 19th at 1:15.
May 19th at 1:15. This trial would be conducted by Zoom. Does that date work for each of you?
Yes.
Yes.
And just for clarification, that's May 19th or May 9th?
19th.
May 19th at 1:15. All right, I'm going to set a deadline to exchange exhibits at May 16th by 5 o'clock. That's a Tuesday, May 16th by 5 o'clock. Ms. Burke, you'll need to have your exhibits marked and emailed to both our chambers here and to Ms. Benson. And Ms. Benson, you'll also need to have your notebook delivered here to my chambers. in El Dorado by that date.
Okay,
And you'll need to provide email copies to Miss Burke by that date.
okay,
Again, just to be clear, May 16th by 5 is the deadline to submit exhibits to the court and to the other party. Trial will be conducted May the 19th at 1:15 PM by Zoom.
okay.
All right, Angela, any other matters I've missed that you can think of that we had discussed previously?
No, Judge, just, does Ms. Benson know the address here for the El Dorado Courthouse?
No, I did not.
Can you provide that to her, Angela,
I can.
please?
Are you ready?
Yes,
It's 201 West Pine, Suite C, El Dorado,
okay,
67042.
all right, thank you.
You're
All
welcome.
right, Miss Burke, do you have any questions?
No,
And Miss Benson, do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
All right, and since you both are proceeding pro se, which means you're representing yourself, if you have questions of the court between now and then, if you could include each other's, for instance, if you're going to send an email asking a question about some aspect of the case, be sure you can include the other party's email address, so there's no what's called an ex parte communication.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to visit with either one of you individually about the case, so any communication you have will need to include the other party. Do you have any questions about that?
No.
no.
Okay. All right, well, we will see everybody back then on May the 19th.
Thank you.
And if there's nothing further, we'll be in recess. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And Miss Burke, just to clarify, are you in Eastern time zone where you are?
No, I'm on Central Time. I'm on your same time.
Okay. So just to be clear, 1:15 Central Standard Time for the trial.
Yes, sir.
All right, with that being accomplished, we will be in recess. Have a good day. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. This is in the District Court of Greenwood County, Kansas. Case is entitled Tracy Burke versus Kimberly Benson, case number 23 CV5. Plaintiff Tracy Burke appears in person pro se. Defendant Kimberly Benson also appears in person pro se. All parties are appearing by Zoom. We are set today for a trial on an appeal from Judge Webster's decision in this case. In Kansas, an appeal from a small claims decision is heard de novo, which means this court hears it as if it's hearing it for the first time. It's not based on the prior record.
Okay.
So the manner in which we'll proceed is probably very similar to the manner in which you proceeded when the case was heard in front of Judge Webster. Miss Burke, as the plaintiff, you will put on your case first. If you call witnesses to testify, including yourself, Miss Benson will be able to cross-examine you or ask you questions based on your testimony or the witness's testimony, and vice versa when Miss Benson puts on her case. I do note that you both have submitted some exhibits. When you wish to reference an exhibit, you'll need to, they're not marked, and I understand you both, or well, maybe they are. since you are both representing yourself, I'll give you a little bit of leeway on court procedure, but we still operate as if you did have attorneys. So, Ms. Burke, do you have any questions about how we'll proceed?
No, sir.
And Ms. Benson, do you?
No.
All right, and I will urge you both if somebody else is testifying or presenting evidence, try not to interrupt. If you disagree with what somebody's saying, don't say anything. You'll each have an opportunity to tell me whatever you feel is necessary for your respective cases. So I typically will give each party an opportunity to make an opening statement if they wish. An opening statement is just a preview or a brief summary of what you hope to show the court regarding your position on the case. Ms. Burke, do you wish to make any sort of an opening statement?
Yes, sir. I would. What about this little kitten for our daughter? As the cat grew older, it did not meet Egyptian mile standards for breeder quality. That's when we reached out to Miss Benson to let her know that we had issues with the kitten. She had asked us to get a DNA test, which we had done, and it come back with the Bengal cat background. We have raised Egyptian moths for probably 14 years. We've never had a kitten that had yellow eyes. This kitten does have. That totally disqualifies the kitten for show. That's just in the CFA standards that a cat with yellow eyes will be disqualified. We paid $2,000 for a breeder show quality cat, and that is not what we got.
All right, thank you, Ms. Burke. And Ms. Benson, do you wish to make an opening statement?
Yes, I would. Thank you. Actually, CFA breeder standard does claim that a kitten has up to 18 months of age to reach green eye color. She decided to come to me when the kitten was 7 months old and said that it was not breeder quality, in her opinion. Now, I've been showing Egyptian mouse for 22 years. So I do know a little bit about how the show system works. I actually even showed a half litter mate and first cousin to the cat she purchased. That cat did champion, and it looked the same as far as eye color, general type, and the markings on the forehead. So that's why I took it and showed it. It championed under all 8 judges. She got her winner's ribbons. She came home a champion in one show. So I believe that statement to be completely incorrect. I brought 4 kitties for her to decide from, the one that she had picked online from the photos, plus its litter mates, plus an older male kitten that I also had available when she met me at my vet's office in Howard, Kansas. She picked out the kitty of her choosing that met the criteria she wanted, had me do additional testing on the cat for her, which I did at my cost, and then she took the kitty home. So, as to the claim that it is a Bengal cross, again, I have been raising Egyptian mouse for 22 years and showing them. There is no Bengal in my background to my knowledge. However, Egyptian mouse were used to create the Bengal breed. So there is Egyptian mouse in the Bengal bloodlines. It's just different strains. And Wisdom Panel does state clearly in their terms and conditions that they are not to be used in a court hearing. That's why I sent that as part of my evidence. It says it's more for a general idea of what might be in your cat. And I did not ask her to get Wisdom Panel done. She did that on her own.
All right, thank you, Ms. Benson. Occasionally, I might interrupt you all if I have a question or need a clarification on when you say things like wisdom panel or something similar. I don't know what that is, so sometimes I might interrupt and ask those questions. I'm not attempting to be rude, but just trying to make sure I understand all of
Okay.
what you do. So, all right, Ms. Burke, I'll allow you to put on your evidence now. Do you have witnesses that are going to testify? Or are you going to testify on your own
They
behalf?
should have been subpoenaed per the last court. And I'm not sure who was supposed to do that. I didn't, because I don't have the quality to do that. But I will tell you what I have in my possession.
Let
as
me
proof.
let me stop you there. You think you subpoenaed witnesses?
What was that we were supposed to do for the other three? Who was supposed to subpoena them?
Or we'd go on without.
We're going without them.
Okay. All right. So do you wish to testify on your own behalf?
Yes,
Okay, I'm going to have you raise your right hand and swear you in. You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
so help me God.
All right, if you could just start by stating your full name for the record, please.
Tracy D. Burke.
All right, go ahead and provide your testimony.
Okay. When we bought the little kitten, it was a $2,000 breeder cat, show quality. And we paid for that, and we did pick the kitten up in Kansas. Egyptian moth disqualifies as a show quality cat per our exhibit 4 if blue eyes, lack of green eyes and color in cats over the age of 1 year, 6 months is disqualified from show. We paid $2,000 for breed quality, show quality, and this cat has yellow eyes.
All right,
Okay.
let me stop you there, Miss Burke. You were just referencing exhibit 4, is that correct?
Correct.
And where is, it's a page that seems to describe Egyptian Mal, then it has a point score. What is this document?
It's the Cat Fanciers Association. It's where the cat is registered. Such as AKC registered dog, only this is a cat
So it's called a Cat Fancy what?
association.
All right, Miss Benson, have you seen this exhibit?
Yes, it's the point scoring system for Cat Fanciers Association. It does not say it's a disqualifying trait. It just means it gets less points. It
Alright.
clearly states what are disqualifying traits.
Is a lack of spots, blue eyes, lack of green eye in color in cats over the age of 1 year, 6 months, mottled or pink, and that is a disqualifying per CFA.
All right, do you wish to admit this exhibit?
It's exhibit 4, yes, sir.
All right, any objection to the admission of this exhibit, Miss Benson?
No.
All right, plaintiff's exhibit 4 will be admitted. You may proceed further, Miss Burke.
Okay, exhibit 5 is a cat color eye. Is clearly yellow, not green.
Is this the cat in question that you purchased?
Yes, sir.
And when was this photograph taken?
April of this year.
April 2023. Do you wish to admit this exhibit?
Yes.
Any objection, Ms. Benson?
I would like to see it. I was unable to pull it up and see it.
Were you provided a copy of these exhibits?
Yes, I did not see one that showed the cat's eye color clearly. So.
Do
I don't
you
know.
have those in front of you, the exhibits that
I'm
you
trying to
received?
pull that up right now. Let's see, it's 3 days ago.
I'm assuming the cat in question is named Zeke.
Yes, sir.
Shoot. Okay.
I think what I'm gonna do, so this will flow better, is I'll just allow you to testify, Ms. Burke, and then we can go back and address the admission of the exhibits later, so it'll just let your testimony flow a little bit smoother, so. All right, go ahead.
The markings on the cat is incorrect. He does not have, the mall M on his forehead. He also does not clarify the color of the coat of an Egyptian mall as per exhibit 5. That's exhibit 5, page 2. I'm apologizing.
And when was that photograph taken?
About 3 months ago, I would say. He's still a small cat. But the reason why that we chose the wisdom panel was because our vet has him classified as a gray tabby cat. And when we asked him about having the DNA done, he recommended the wisdom panel. So whether ever it's allowable in court or not, that's what our vet asked us to do. And it
What is it-
wasn't done on a whimsical whatever, just to find out what the cat was.
What is a
Because
wisdom panel?
it is a DNA testing that can give you some idea of what your cat is. And me and Miss Benson had talked back and forth because we had questions, and she had recommended for me to have the DNA testing done. And when the kitten come back with part Bengal cat is when she didn't want to hear anything about that. I had gotten in touch with CFA's ombudsman, who said that she accused me of having a Bengal cat in my house, which I do not. And he said even if I had had a Bengal cat in my house, it would not have changed the DNA on this cat. Now, I'm not going to say that Miss Benson did or did not know the background of the cats that she's breeding, but she passed this kitten off as a show quality Egyptian mall, in which in turn she talked to her lawyer and she could find a buyer to buy it for $350 when we paid $3,000 and drove to Kansas to pick the kitten up.
And you live in Georgia,
I live in Alabama.
Alabama? Okay. All right, you can proceed further, Ms. Burke.
Okay, the back of the cat, from the head to the back of his shoulders is not in Egyptian mall pedigree markings. As Miss Benson said, she had raised Egyptian malls for 20 years or so. So have I. And evidently I got a better cat out of New Hampshire than I did out of Kansas because he looks nothing like this kitten. And this is exhibit 5, page 3. Also, exhibit 5, page 4. He should have a button vest, not all of these button stripe looking stuff. That is incorrect for this cat breed. We did have the wisdom panel done after we consulted with our own veterinarian. And that's exhibit 6, page 1, that shows that this cat is not a thoroughbred cat. It's got another cat mixed in with it. And this was a blind test check.
A blind
Um,
test what?
The
Check?
wisdom panel showed a blind test, a cheek swab. Typically that's done in dogs, cats, humans to find out what their genealogy is or who belongs to who. This might be trivial, but this is something that me and Miss Benson had agreed to do after I had some questions back when Zeke's eyes didn't color come out to be green. That was my first heads up, was the cat has yellow eyes, and that totally disqualified him from a show ring. And I certainly would not want to breed that cat with a show quality female and it have disqualifying features which would cut the cat out of show. On exhibit 6, page 2, you will see how there's 2 different cats that was shown up in this DNA test. And it shows an Egyptian mole and a Bengal cat. Also on exhibit 6, page 3, there's been a long line of this Bengal cat going all the way up to our Zeke's parentage. I talked to when I was accused of having a Bengal cat in my home, and I talked to the ombudsman of CFA who registered this kitten as to be a thoroughbred cat. He told me that there was no way in this lineage would that cat ever had a Bengal in our home. That's what that background of that cat was. Now, I do have the parent lineage from the certified pedigree, but I also, on plaintiff exhibit 8, it shows a email captured from Edward L. Raymond Jr. of the CFA ombudsman, who texted me back and said, your cat was registered based on the fact that its parents were CFA registered. Please understand that not every offspring from a pedigree of 2 CFA registered cats ends up being show quality. He apologizes that I did not receive the cat that I wanted or bargained for, but for CFA was not a party to that transaction.
And CFA is the Cat Fancy Association?
Yes, sir. That's who registers the cats to make sure that they're pedigree cats to travel on with their genetic line, where you can go to show or you can breed the cats and it be a little bit better quality than your typical mutt cat, which nobody ever knows what's in those cats because most people don't care that we didn't go to a shelter and get a maybe 30, $50 cat to help this Humane Society out. I actually have a cat that I plucked out of Tractor Supply's box at the cash register. She was free to me. That was 30 miles away. I didn't drive all the way to Kansas to go pick up a kitten that was supposed to be registered, only to find out that it did not meet the breed quality of what I paid for. She's just a little old mutt cat. Now, little mutt cat's called what people might say as a mixed breed dog, a mixed breed cat. You don't know who their parents are. Our little red cat come out of a storm drainage. We also have had this cat neutered because he is not show quality. He does not fit the description of what a thoroughbred mall should be looking like. We had this cat neutered. That's the end of the line for that cat, and that's on Exhibit 9.
Miss Burke, when was the cat purchased?
Okay. August the 6th, 2021, a deposit was sent. And we picked the kitten up on October the 8th at Miss Benson's vet in Hamilton, or it might have been off skirt of that little area in Hamilton, Kansas.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, we attempted to settle this transaction, Exhibit 11, to offer her to pay us back $2,800, which would cost for the cat and our transportation cost to come pick the kitten up. Usually when you go out of state to buy a kitten, because there's not one available in your area, our first mall come out of New Hampshire. This one actually comes out of Kansas. We offered her $28 settlement to make this issue correct, and that was denied.
Has all in, but I think it's
Okay.
Miss Burke, who's assisting you?
My husband is sitting next to me.
Okay. Since
He
he's-
drove us to Kansas, so I figure he has the right to be here.
Okay, he can certainly be there, but he can't assist you in presenting your case. If you wish to call him as a witness, you can certainly do that.
Then go ahead. I will agree with that. I work third shift. I apologize. I've had 3 hours sleep today. I work 12-hour shifts in a nursing home. But today is the day of court, so we will travel on.
You can proceed with your testimony, Ms. Burke.
Okay, we went ahead and did a small claim court, which we won. And I guess I'm not sure why. I guess Miss Benson had that obligation to appeal that decision, and she has that right to. But when we're having to pay court costs for her to appeal a case, I don't agree with that. I'm sorry, us Alabama folks don't work like Kansas people, evidently. And I guess that's probably, we're having to be charged an additional $300 for Ms. Benson to appeal this case that we've already won. But
How-
whatever your decision is, and we have up to ante.
Who
Uh,
assessed you
accord-
$300, Miss Burke?
Sir,
Where you were sent a bill for $300 for appeal fees?
that was on what I was sent from district court, sir. Yes, sir, I did. $195.
When was that assessed to you?
When it got sent to your district court. It's on the docket.
All right, you can proceed further.
Okay, from what all we have been through and trying to settle this with Miss Benson, and she don't think that she owes us anything back, and this cat is what it's worth. We disagree. Me and my husband both have lost work, and neither one of us have a cheap income. We don't sit on our butt. I work for a nursing home and I'm a nurse. My husband works for the federal government. It's not that $3,000 is nothing to us to lose, but it is the fact of the matter that somebody in Kansas can fraudulently do something that should not be done. When I called CFA, they agreed. They did not think that the kitten was registered thoroughbredly breeder quality. And I have that email from Mr. Benson. I also have attempted numerous times to let Miss Benson know that she had a problem with her cat's heritage. And all I got was that I was trying to slander her, and I did not. I called CFA, and Mr. Raymond told me that that cat was a mixed breed cat due its lineage. And I had that DNA testing done through me and my Miss Benson's agreement to let's see what the cat come out from. And that's when she become very hostile, so to say, to me in some emails saying that she did not agree with that. Was it done by blood? Was it done by saliva? And if I'm not wrong, whether it be dog, cat, or human, cheeks are usually swabbed for DNA. Now, this wasn't meant as a trivial, let's see what our cat's made up of. But that's what it came out to be, was a mixed breed cat. She agreed during small claims court that all of her cats may not develop into show quality. Well, the show quality price on her cats goes back to Plaintiff Exhibit 1, where a silver pet mall is $1,200. That's usually where you get one altered and it cannot breed. When you go to breeder show quality at $2,000 a piece, then that is a big, tremendous difference. But then I also got an email from Miss Benson saying that she had talked with her attorney and that she could sell the cat between $300 and $350. That's a far cry from $2,000 that we paid for the cat, plus to come pick it up. That is Plaintiff Exhibit 10.
Yeah, you can proceed further, Ms. Burke.
Okay. I contacted, Kansas, Attorney General. He did advise me to take it up with the Federal Trade Commission. I have not done that yet, and I don't know what difference it would make. I did call CFA because I had some issues with the markings on the cat. That by no means was any slander to anybody. I was trying to get to the bottom of what this cat is. And were we just fraudulently sold a cat? So I also had the state of Kansas small animal division to call me back. And they actually told me that Ms. Benson did not have a business license in the state of Kansas and that she was hard to find. And I probably agree with that because it wasn't until I told the sheriff's department I knew where she was. And if they needed me to drive back to Kansas to help her locate, to get to the bottom of this situation, I would be happy to. And they found Miss Benson. I did not have to make that trip. I don't have anything else to say. That's where we stand with this cat. It is a mixed breed cat. He is at least 2 years old now, and he still has yellow eyes. So if I decided to take him to show, and there's show quality, and there's also called a premier quality, which a cat has been altered but can be shown in a cat show. His yellow eyes would disqualify him in either show ring. And I'm not even going there to embarrass myself. And I guess that's all I have to say.
All right, Miss Benson, do you have questions of Miss Burke based on her testimony? And keep in mind, you'll have your opportunity to testify on your own behalf, but if you have cross-examination questions, you may ask those of Miss Burke at this time.
Thank you. Ms. Burke, I would like you to read your Exhibit 10 aloud in its entirety, not just the small excerpt that you keep picking out of it.
You said again.
Your Exhibit 10.
Okay, if I'm going to be able to talk, don't talk over me, please. I
All right,
need
I'm
to
gonna, all right, let's, both
question.
of you, this needs to be done orderly and respectfully, so I'll advise each of you, please don't talk over one another as we are taking a record. So you may proceed answering the question, Ms. Burke.
On this email text, I guess it was an email because I have both, and I was in contact with her frequently as the kitten aged. On October the 13th, 2022, Miss Benson contacted me again and said, again, your cat is not mixed breed. I did go to an attorney after our last talk. He did tell me the only thing you can do, since you already have slandered me everywhere you can, is for me to sue you. And there is no way that you will win. Please feel free to do so. He also asked me what I can resell the adult cat for. I told him that as a neutered adult, I have only been able to get about $300 to $350 adoption fee. After a year old, if I find a buyer, he informed me that if I were so inclined, I could offer me, Miss Burke, $350, or I did bring up that I would be willing to allow to trade him for another young adult male. I have that I thought would be more to your liking. He informed me that he would not feel that this is necessary, but if I do, you would have to sign a contract that he would draw up for me and that you would agree to rescind all your defamation statements you have made publicly and agree that this was the final contract we would have. If you would like to see this boy under those terms, I will get you some photos. If not, I will await the contact from your lawsuit, which will be here in Kansas, as the sale was here in Kansas, where it will have jurisdiction. Okay, well, I tell you what, why don't you go back?
All right, Miss Burke, it's Miss Benson's time to ask you questions at this time. So do you have additional cross-examination questions, Miss Benson?
Since I have shown many Egyptian mounds with yellowy green eyes, which is what his look like, my question is, where do you find it a disqualifying trait? Because I've been showing for the last 22 years. And I've never had a judge disqualify one for yellowy green eyes once, ever. So where is it stated that that is a disqualifying trait?
Okay, if you will see on Plaintiff Exhibit 4, 2022, the Cat Fanciers Association. When you look at that entire sheet that you can print off, it says disqualify, lack of spots, blue eyes, lack of green in eye color, and cats over the age of 1 year, 6 months. Mottled or pink paw pads, kinked or abnormal tail, incorrect number of toes, white locket or button distinctive from other acceptable white color areas in color sections of standard. So yes, ma'am, this come from CFA in 2022 of their cat breed standard for the Egyptian moth.
Additional questions, Miss Benson?
No, thank you.
All right. All right, Miss Burke, do you have additional witnesses or evidence you'd like to present?
No, sir.
All right, I want to address these exhibits. You've referenced a number of exhibits here, but there's also some that you didn't. Is it your wish that the court admit all of the exhibits that you submitted?
Correct. Do I need to go over each and every one of them for you?
Well, we'll find that out in a minute. Miss Benson, do you have any objection to the court admitting these exhibits?
No.
All right, there's no objection, so Miss Burke, I'll admit all of the exhibits that you presented, which appear to be 15 numbered exhibits, some of those with multiple pages. So those are admitted.
Thank you.
All right, Miss Benson, it is now your turn to put on your case. Do you intend to testify on your own behalf, or do you have other witnesses to call?
No, I'm testifying on my own behalf.
All right, give me just a second. All right, if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, go ahead and state your full name for the record.
Kimberly Renee Benson.
All right, you may proceed with your testimony.
Okay. I submitted evidence that I showed a sister out of the same male, and the mother was a first cousin that looked exactly like the features that she did not like in the male. So I took her to a show in Garland, Texas, and showed her under 8 judges, all 8 of which gave her winner's ribbons. She came out of that show a champion.
Ms. Benson, let me stop you there.
Okay.
This cat you're referring to is a sister of Zeke?
Yes.
From the same litter?
It is from a different litter, and the mothers are first cousins, but it's the same father. She was born about a year ago. I have her registration papers as one of the exhibits.
Did you say same father, different mother?
Same father. The mothers were sisters. So cousin on mom's side.
Okay, go ahead.
But the reason I showed that one was because it had the same qualities of Zeke. You know, the same lighter pattern, the same lack of a very distinctive M that she kept yelling was a disqualifying trait. And the same, you know, yellowy green eye color. Same exact features as Zeke. So I took her to a show down in Garland, Texas, which is listed. She has her championship certificate also in evidence from that show that I applied as well, also in CFA. And we had no trouble championing her. That's why I had asked if she had ever shown Zeke at one point when we were conversing back and forth. And she had not. I did not at any time tell her to go get the DNA done, but I didn't have a problem with it because, you know, he's been 3 or 4 generations into my bloodlines of Egyptian mouse that I've been raising for the last 22 years. Many of my mouse have shown to grand championship. One of my mouse was best Egyptian mouse in Europe. So, you know, he's got good bloodlines behind him. If he didn't turn out perfect show quality, well, that's why I put breeder show, because he might make a great breeder. Some of my best breeders are not my best show cats, and some of my best show cats aren't my best breeders. It doesn't always go hand in hand, but he was sold as breeder show quality, which is exactly what he was presented, which is exactly what he was. She could easily have championed him if she wanted to, or gone further if she wanted to, but she chose to never show him and just decided on her own that he was not breeder show quality.
What does it mean when you say could have championed him?
If she'd have taken him to a show and 8 judges deemed him fit and worthy, they would have given him his blue winner's ribbons. When you get those blue winner's ribbons from 6 different judges, your cat becomes a champion. And then all you have to do is apply for the certificate, but it's automatically goes towards the registration papers. Any cat that becomes a champion in CFA then has the CH in front of the name from then on. Once you pay the $10 fee and, you know, get the little championship certificate, if you want, you can have the paperwork redone to show that championship. But any kittens out of it would automatically have the CH in front of his name from then on, once he becomes a champion or she. So I felt like I sold her exactly what we agreed on. I did try to make her happy. And I said, okay, you know, I can send you another cat that is more what you're thinking a championship cat should look like, or a grand championship cat should look like. I do have a darker spotted male who's much more distinctive, much more has the look that you would like, you know, that you think of as a Mao. There are a lot of different looks in the silver Egyptian Maos. They go from a very light silver to a very dark spotted black, inky black spotted silver, and everything in between. CFA doesn't say it has to be this shading or that shading. They just want to be able to see the pattern, which he has. Like I said, I've been showing them off and on for the last 22 years whenever I've got enough money to go, because it's $350 to $500 to spend on a show weekend to show cats. That's just the reality. So I don't go all the time, but off and on I go whenever I can afford to. And my cats have done very well. We've placed in the top 10 all breed finals repeatedly. And to be in a top 10 all breed final, they take all the breeds, they bring back their favorite 10 cats. I've taken a best cat in show twice. So I do know my breed. I've been doing it. It's predominantly Egyptian Mouse for 22 years. That's why I was so offended that she was calling and talking to everybody that she could think of to try to discredit me. I have many people that come back. I have people that have come back this year from 17 years ago wanting a new Mao because theirs had gotten old or was about to die or had died from old age. I have people that come back for 3, 4, 5, and 6 cats from me. I try to make my people happy, but I don't feel like I should give them all their money back and then some every time somebody decides they're not happy. I've had people come back and a year later and say, well, my cat's not a kitten anymore. I want you to give me my money back so I can go buy a new kitten. That's the world we live in. Everybody wants what they want and they want it right now. And they don't necessarily think about anything except what they want. So I did try to make it right. And when I said that I could get 3 to 350, that's any adult spayed or neutered. People don't want adults. They want kittens. Once you spay or neuter it, you don't have an opportunity to sell it as a breeder to someone else. All you can get is an adoption fee because it's now an adult and everybody wants a kitten. So that's where I was coming from when I said 3 to 350 is what I can get for a neutered adult. Period. I just can't get any more than that because nobody wants adults that they can't use in a breeding program. They want kittens. So that was where I was coming from. I tried to make it right in the only ways I know how, but I'm not going to be just giving people money because they've decided it's grown and I'm no longer interested and I want my money back. That's like wearing a pair of jeans for a year to me and then take them to the store and say, oh, you should give me all my money back and then some because they no longer fit me. You know, it's just not reasonable. So that's where I was coming from. My case is based on, I sold her exactly what I said I did. She picked out the kitty of her choice. She didn't want an older kitten. She wanted as young as possible. And I understand that people want as young as possible because that's what they want to bond with. I don't let them leave under 12 weeks of age. So I met her at my vet's when the kitten was 12 weeks of age. I brought the one that was a couple months older with me in case she liked him better, but she'd made up her mind she wanted that younger one. And that's fine. I let her see all that I had available. She took the one she wanted. And then I didn't hear anything bad from her until 7 months later when she decided she was no longer happy with the kitten.
How many different cats did you take for her to look at?
4. That's what I had in kittens available at that time.
All right, you may proceed.
Okay. Pretty much that is my case. You know, I basically sent the photos of the cat to show how much she looked like Zeke that I showed, and with her winner's ribbons and on each judge's table with each judge. I sent her championship certificate and I sent the copy of her registration papers with her new champion designation in front of her name. And you can see that they're out of the same father when you look at Zeke's registration papers and hers. Like I said, the mothers were cousins. So, the mothers were sisters, which made them cousin on one side and half sister on dad's side. I have never raised them.
Are you referring to exhibits that you submitted to the court?
Yes. Yes.
Well, let's
see.
Okay. Do you have additional testimony?
Not at this time.
All right, Ms. Burke, do you have any questions of Ms. Benson based on her testimony?
Yes, nice cats don't have anything to do with Zeke's qualifications. And if I can get you to go back to exhibit 1, about halfway down that, it says the overall balance in our kittens is coming together nicely. And I raised for sweet-tempered, outgoing, affectionate, if not somewhat clingy. Well, let me tell you what Zeke is.
All right, Miss Burke, this is an opportunity for you to ask questions. I'll give you one last opportunity to make a further statement. But do you have a question to ask, Miss Benson?
No, I didn't. I had a comment to make about my exhibit 1.
Okay, well, this is cross-examination. So this is.
Okay, I don't have anything to cross-examine.
Okay. All right, let me address these exhibits then, Miss Benson. You've submitted. They're not marked, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pages of photographs.
Yes.
And do these photographs all depict the sister cat you referred to in your testimony?
Yes.
Miss Burke, do you have any objection to the court admitting these photographs?
I didn't get such photographs. I don't know what cat she's inquiring about. That may or may not be linkage to the cat that we got from her.
All right, you have not received these exhibits?
No, sir.
Angela, do we have the ability to email those to Miss Burke?
They were emailed to her on 5/16.
No, ma'am, I never received those.
You didn't receive an email from, was that sent from us?
I haven't gotten an email from your court system since March.
Can you confirm the email that they were sent to make sure we see if we have the same email address, Angela?
Yes, Judge, I have TABU724@icloud.com.
It's TABU724@AOL.com. That is my email address.
All right, can you send that email to that email address at this time, please, Angela?
Yes, I'll do it right now.
All right, and then Miss Benson, there's a Cat Fanciers Association Inc. certificate.
Yes.
Does that pertain to this sister cat?
Yes.
And then the last document, what is that? Registration form of some sort?
Yes. Her registration with her championship, new championship designation in front of her name.
Do you wish to admit this as evidence?
Yes, please.
All right, Angela, can you forward these other documents to Miss Burke also, please?
I did, Judge.
You have the ability to access those documents, Miss Burke?
Yes.
Okay. If you could review those.
Okay, they're still not coming through.
You might check your spam folder.
You seen anything yet, Miss Burke?
Yes, sir. What would you like for me to look at?
If you could please review those exhibits that Miss Benson's wishing to admit and indicate whether or not you have any objection to the court admitting those.
Okay, for one, I don't know who these cats are, what their heritage is, or nothing else. It's a bunch of cats at a cat show. I don't have any proof that this is even related to this cat. So where's the lineage on that? Because I don't see it.
Miss Benson, did you take these photographs yourself?
The photographs of the cat at the cat show, yes, with each judge, and then by herself with her winner's ribbons between each ring.
And when were the photographs taken?
March, shoot, put on there when the date of the show was somewhere. Let me look. It will be on the date of that show. Well, I didn't have it on this computer, and the other computer doesn't allow me to be seen at the same time. But it was March the 16th, I believe, and 17th on that show. It is in the notes that I attached with the photos was the date of the show.
Of what year?
This year. It was just 2 months ago.
Right, well, I think Miss Benson's laid the proper foundation for the admission of the photographs. The court will determine what weight to give to the exhibits in due course. And then the other exhibits are a certificate and a registration form. Did you receive those exhibits, Miss Burke?
Yes, sir. And I also have Zeke's registration and forms from CFA too. So to me, that means nothing.
Okay, do you object to the admission of the exhibits?
Oh, no, go right ahead.
Okay. So all of respondents' exhibits are admitted at this time. Do you have additional evidence to present, Miss Benson?
No.
All right, at this time, I'll give each of you an opportunity to make closing statements or remarks. Miss Burke, I'll start with you.
Okay, I'll put it plain and simple. We went and bought a little cat, and we wanted breeder show quality just for the quality of the cat, not to ever breed it, not to ever show it. We wanted that quality of cat because we have had that quality of cats. I also too have raised Egyptian moths. Our old male Egyptian moth never thought about calling me up. And he also has registration papers from CFA. This kitten is not what it ever was put out to be. Every kitten picture I had of this kitten was in a cage. And I'm not sure if that's not what is part of his personality. When the cat did not grow into his qualifications of a show breeder, that's when we started asking some questions from Miss Benson, and we got shut down fast. We've taken every avenue that we could to find out what this cat was. We have figured out that line is on her mama's side, his mama's side, not on the male side. And whether that is the court wants to know that, hear that, and that might be just whimsical as to having a DNA test done. I think it is pretty sad in the day that a cat owner would want to go this distance to be charged that much and an issue come up and the owner of the cat isn't willing to back it up. She did not bring all 4 siblings of this cat to the vet's office. She had in her possession the cat that we purchased and a Bengal cat, a Geoffrey, which is another breed cat, that she was going to get on a plane to and fly to New York. Well, Small Animals decides that she has more than 2 litters in a year. Miss Benson doesn't have a license in the state of Kansas to sell cats. I have just asked some questions. I was not being mean or derogatory. I just needed some help with her to find out what was wrong with this cat. because he has never acted like any mall that we have raised in 20 years. My adult male treats me as well as my husband does. He waits for me on the sidewalk when I get home. He comes in with me, and if my husband's off from work, he won't come out till I get home. So just because our cat was allowed to go out and in, that cat still had the respect for the owner not to claw it up. It is whim. That is very abnormal for an Egyptian moth. They attach to one person in the family. And when you have that cat that attaches violently towards a person, needs to be put down. We have not put this cat down till we figure out what the court system wants to do with this cat. Because right now, we're not even thinking about, do we want another mall out of Miss Benson to trade out a cat with her? No, sir. She cannot prove our cat's lineage because she has multiple cats in her home. That was our question. And when she got defensive and did not want to make an act that we felt was incorrect, correct, then okay. We're stuck with this mixed breed cat that, since court will be over today or in your judgment, we will find a new home for this cat, and it's not going to be in my home. This cat is disqualified from CFA. We paid $2,000 for that cat, a kitten. So I appreciate you hearing some squabble over some cat. I never meant for it to go that far, and I thank you for you.
Thank you, Ms. Burke. Ms. Benson, closing statement.
Well, the cat's lineage is known. I mean, she's got the 3 or 4 generation pedigree, she said, from CFA, and that is his lineage. That is what's behind him. That's what's in his background. He's from all registered cats as far back as at least 6 generations. You know, as to the fact that he didn't turn out to be the way she wanted him to be, I'm sorry for that, but they grow up, and they don't always turn out exactly how you envision they will. That's why I offered her one that was already older, established. If she wanted a stud, he was already, ready to be a stud. If she wanted a pet, he was a very sweet pet and had the look that she thinks is the only look a Mao has. But I've known from all my experience in showing that there are many looks in the silver Egyptian Maos. They don't all look alike. And one look doesn't necessarily win and another one loses. It just depends on the judge viewing the cat at the time, what their personal preference is, how they read and decipher the breed standard. Again, I tried to make it right. She did not want to respond to that. She'd made up her mind, and I'm sorry about that. I know that I can't make 100% of the people happy 100% of the time. I did maintain my breeder's license for over 18 years. I let it expire when I no longer raised 4 to 6 litters or more a year. The last year I raised a total of 2 litters. I didn't renew my license because I only had 2 litters of kittens. They're not selling. They haven't been selling for the last 3 years, and that's related to the COVID pandemic. People aren't interested in going out and spending money on cats and dogs. So I came to terms with that and went back to work and, lowered my breeding to next to nothing. For that reason, I still have people come back wanting more of my kittens that have bought from me previously. And I've had to tell them I'm not breeding at this time. The last litter of Egyptian Maos I had was, they turned 12 months old this month, a year ago, because nobody's been buying Maos. But the one that I put in the photo, she sold as a breeder to another breeder. She sold as part of a breeding pair to another breeder. I mean, I've been divesting myself of my breeders because they no longer sell and I have to go back to work. I don't have time to take proper care of them. being home, but they are cage raised for separation issues because the state requires it. So yes, they were all started in a cage because the state requires they be caged every time they show up, and they can show up anytime between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. And you have to be available. Your cats have to all be caged. So we do know who the parents are. There's no doubt, no question. And I have not owned a Bengal in 20 years. So there's no way that it had any Bengal in its bloodline, because as long as I've been an Egyptian malbreeder, I've not owned a Bengal, at least not from my lines, unless it's way far back that had nothing to do with me and I knew nothing about. And that is all I have to add to this case.
So Ms. Benson, this
Yes.
wisdom panel says 24% bingle.
Suggested, that's what they say, suggested, but they also state clearly in their terms and conditions that they are not to be used as in a court of law to determine parentage. And they state that in 2 different places in their terms and conditions.
All right, thank you, Ms. Benson.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna need a little bit of time to review these exhibits before I issue a ruling.
Okay.
I don't typically look at the exhibits until they've been admitted, so let's take about a 15 to 20-minute recess to let me review these exhibits as well as my notes. You can just mute your camera and go off video while we're waiting. Don't leave the meeting.
Okay.
So we're in recess. All right, we'll go back on the record. Same appearances as before. All right, I've had an opportunity now to review the exhibits of both the petitioner and the respondents, as well as go back over my notes, and I'm going to find as follows: that the defendant, Ms. Benson, advertised the sale of Egyptian now cats, indicating prices for pets or for breeder show, that she had been involved in the breeding and showing of Egyptian moths for 20-some odd years. The plaintiff, Ms. Burke, has also had numerous years in owning an experience with Egyptian moths, drove from Alabama to Kansas to pick up the cat. Zeke is the cat at issue, with the intention of having a breed or show cat, paying the $2,000 price tag. It's assumed that Ms. Burke had an opportunity to review the cat in person at the vet's office in Howard, Kansas, before paying the money and transporting the cat back to Alabama. As the cat grew older, Ms. Burke became dissatisfied that the cat didn't meet the qualifications to be a show or a breed cat. There's a DNA testing done. The court has reviewed the wisdom panel. However, without having much more scientific background, it's hard to gauge the accuracy or how much weight to give that, but I think it does deserve some weight. In essence, Ms. Burke testified that while they didn't intend to show or breed the cat, they wished to have the quality of cat that could be shown or bred. And I've reviewed the photographs of the sister cat submitted by Ms. Benson and the photographs of Zeke. And they don't look very much alike in the court's opinion. However, my only knowledge on what's a show quality Egyptian now has come from what I've heard in this hearing today. What I'm going to do is award Miss Burke $800, finding that that's the difference in price of a breed or show cat and a pet price of $1,200. I'm going to order Miss Benson to pay judgment in that amount to Miss Burke. So that's the order of the court. Either one of you can appeal this decision if you wish. If you choose to do so, at this stage, it goes up to the Kansas Court of Appeals. So, Ms. Burke, do you have any questions about the court's ruling? You're muted. Ms. Burke, you're muted. You'll need to unmute. All right, go ahead. Do you have any
I will
questions?
be appealing to the higher court. I didn't
Okay.
pay $2,000 for a mutt cat. And so I will proceed higher.
Very well. Ms. Benson, do you have
Thank
any
you
questions?
so much for your time.
Ms. Benson, do you have any questions? You're muted as well.
No, sir. Thank you.
All right, Angela, do you know on these small claims appeals, who's responsible for the journal entry, or is that something that the court produces?
That I do not know, Judge.
All right, well, we'll look into that and send you both a copy of an order.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you that we were awarded $33 something in small claims. I really do appreciate you offering us $800 difference of that. But thank you, but I will appeal on and take it to the next higher court, and I will let the Federal Trade Commission know. So I appreciate you very much.
You're very welcome, Ms. Burke. Have a good weekend, everyone. We'll be in recess.
Absolutely.
So as we saw, Judge Crum ruled in favor of Miss Burke, even though I don't think she deserves it. Sorry, my opinion doesn't matter. But he only gave her $800, which is the difference between a show cat and a mutt cat, I guess. That cat's freaking gorgeous. I would have taken that cat. Anyways, so apparently Miss Benson has not paid Miss Burke because in January of 2024, Miss Burke filed a request for citation of contempt small claims. And in that, she said the judgment creditor requests, which is her, that the court issue a citation for contempt to the debtor, which is Miss Benson, and that the court ordered the judgment debtor to complete a statement of assets form and return it to the clerk no later than 30 days after receiving the form, and the debtor failed to complete the form. I don't see anywhere where that was ordered. I've looked through the orders and I don't see that. I pulled up that form and it says, if the debtor has not paid you, it says this is instructions for the creditor. If you haven't received your money within 14 days following the file stamped journal entry, the journal entry is what they fill out to be recorded in the computer system, like the official record of what's going on. Then mail a copy of the journal entry in this form to the debtor. You must also file a small claims certificate of mailing with the clerk to show that you sent the documents. So what she should have done is filed a copy of this to show, hey, I sent this, and then Miss Benson has 30 days to respond, and it's basically your, I guess, showing them what you own to justify why you didn't pay. Hey, I'm broke. But instead of doing that, what she filed was this request for contempt, and then she put a copy of Miss Benson's Facebook profile, and then some listings for Jeffrey's cats and Egyptian Mao kitten prices and a picture of an adult Egyptian Mao. And I guess maybe she's trying to show that there's no address. However, in the original documents, both of their addresses were listed multiple times. And I guess she's trying to show here that she's still breaking the law or something along those lines. I don't know. I guess it's like the subpoenas. She just thought somebody would magically do it for her. I guess that's how they do things in Alabama. I don't know what happened on the hearing on the 16th of March, or the 19th of March. I have looked through every hearing from that day, and there's nothing with her in it. So I have no idea where they were on Zoom at, but it wasn't on YouTube. So I will keep an eye out and see what happens. But it looks like Miss Benson should be in contempt, but if Miss Burke doesn't file the documents properly, she's not going to be held in contempt. So we'll see. Crazy cat ladies.